Guitar tips, guitar tips, just the tips, just for you. Guitar tips. Hello and welcome to Guitar Tips. My name is Adam Levy. This is my weekly video blog series. I post a brand new tip here each and every week on this channel. Just the tips, just for you. As you can see, the sun is hanging low in the sky. I'm getting kind of a late start today recording this tip. I really strive to use natural light, but there's not a whole lot of natural light going to be left. So I'm going to talk fast and try and get through as much as I can before I'm, just in shadows completely here. This week's tip is about chord scales. What are chord scales? Why do we practice them? What do they have to do with music? What do they have to do with the guitar? So here's what a chord scale sounds like, and then I'll talk about what it is. Here's a chord scale. Maybe you've heard that before. What it is we take a voicing. This is a common C major 7 voicing. I'm playing C, G, B, E. And I'm moving it along the same 4 strings 2, 3, 4, and 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're just going to stay on those strings. And I'm going to stay in the key of C and use only notes from the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And if we do that, so each note from the first chord to the second moves up 1 scale degree. Right? So this chord, if we do that, we're going to wind up here. That's a D minor 7 chord. So C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5, and C major 7. And that's that pattern, major 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, and minor 7 flat 5. That's true whatever key we're in. If I started in B, we're going to get the same pattern. Major 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7 flat 5, and back to major 7. So that's a good thing to memorize. And if you're playing jazz tunes, you'll notice that those are the go-to chords in whatever key we're in. If you're for the key of B, not a lot of jazz tunes in the key of B, but hypothetically, those would be the important chords that you'd want to be familiar with, because those are going to be the chords that you're going to have to play in the key. So they give your ear a sense of, they give your imagination and your ear and your hands a sense of, here's the stuff that's important harmonically in whatever key we're in. So that's one of the reasons it's important to understand it, and it helps you to be able to analyze chords if you're looking at, to analyze tunes if you're looking at tunes, in the real book or wherever you find jazz types of tunes. You can start to go like, oh, I see, yeah, that's familiar. That's just a 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. I know that pattern. I know the chords in the key. So that's one reason it's important to understand chord scales. They're just such a foundational part of music, of jazz and related music. But it's also a way of exploring the guitar, and it's also a way of developing your left hand and your right hand as well. Because in order for this stuff to sound like anything, it's really, every note has to be clear, which means you're pressing down just hard enough to make a clear tone. You're not pushing down too hard. You're not pushing down too soft. You're just getting a nice clear tone. And you're also not accidentally blocking off strings by letting your fingers droop or collapse. So there's a lot of real intentional stuff that has to happen in your fretting hand to make those chords sound good. And also you want to be sure that your picking hand, whether you're using just a pick or pick and fingers or just fingers, that you can really hear each note clearly, and that if you wanted to, you could make any one of the notes jump out, either by playing it a little louder or a little earlier or both. The guitar is sort of a funny thing. I was just thinking about this week. It's so obvious, but I never really noticed it before. Your fingers are not equal in length. At least mine aren't. So to get everything to just fret in time and sound in time from your picking hand, it's really not an easy thing. Like, our hands really aren't meant to play the guitar, I don't think, but it sure is fun, so we do. But you're having to kind of overcome these obstacles that every single person has. Nobody has fingers of equal length or equal strength, so we just do the best we can. So in doing this, you really have to spend time. I'm going quickly, but you really shouldn't go too quickly at first. You just want to make sure that every note sounds really clear. I even had a teacher when I was young, a guy named Jimmy Weibel, who didn't want me to use bars. So, like, this is a D minor 7 chord. Every guitar player I've ever seen would play it this way as a bar, but Jimmy wanted it to be 4 fingers. Each note is a finger. Each voice, you could say, is a finger. And that's harder. It takes more time, but it develops this hand, and it gives you the opportunity to do broken things like that. Or wow, gotta practice that stuff. Wow, well, you get the idea. It's tricky. So that's chord scales in one type of voicing. This voicing is 1, 5, 7, 3, meaning that from a C scale, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1, 2, 3. So that's 1, 5, 7, 3. Another way you could look at that voicing is a fifth and a third and a fourth. I hope that's not confusing, because it's a really different way of thinking about it, just in terms of intervals. You're just measuring, that's an interval, that's a fifth, that's a third, and that's a fourth. And as we go through the chords, the specific characters may change, like here we have a perfect fifth, a major third, and a perfect fourth. Here we have a perfect fifth, a minor third, and a perfect fourth. Same. We already looked at that one. Here is a perfect fifth, a minor third, and wow, what is that? It's not a perfect fourth, it's an augmented fourth from F to B. From F to B natural. That's an augmented fourth. And then this one we've already done. And then the minor 7 flat 5 has a diminished fifth, a major third, and a perfect fourth. So they all have different qualities to them. So that's a different way of thinking about it. I think most people tend to look at these shapes in terms of where they fall in the scale. So we'll call this 1, 5, 7, 3. And it's important to not just do it in the major scale, but actually to do it in other kinds of scales that you know. That's a really great way to explore the sound of scales, not just one note at a time, but in stacks of harmony. You can really hear a lot of what gives a scale its special sound. So another type of scale that's pretty common in jazz is the melodic minor scale. So that's, if you don't know it, it's like major, but it has a flat third. So C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, C. So if we harmonize that using 1, 5, 7, 3, we're going to get some different chords. The first chord, C minor major 7, D minor 7, E flat, major 7, sharp 5. And again, that's just the result of following the scale up the string. So we wind up here. F7, F7, G7. So 2 dominants in a row. And then 2 minor 7 flat 5s in a row. And then back home. So the qualities are minor major 7, that's a minor chord with a major 7. So minor major 7, minor 7, major 7 sharp 5, and then dominant 7, minor 7 flat 5, minor 7 flat 5, and back to minor major 7. We can also deal with the harmonic minor scale. Harmonic minor has an A flat in it. So C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B natural, and C. So if we harmonize that, we get this. So that's minor major 7 again. Now the 2 chord is minor 7 flat 5 because we've got A flat in this scale. The 3 chord is the same. The 4 chord is different. When I say the same, it's the same as the scale we did previously, the melodic minor. So starting chord is the same. The 2 chord is different because we've got the A flat. The 3 chord is the same. The 4 chord is different because again we've got A flat. 5 chord is the same. 6 chord is different, again, to accommodate the A flat. And then the 7 chord is a fully diminished chord instead of minor 7 flat 5. So again, starting from the 5 chord in melodic minor, you do this. And in harmonic minor, you do this. So pretty different characters. Yeah. So that's the kind of starter kit for chord scales. We did the major scale, we did the melodic minor scale, and we did the harmonic minor scale, all using the same voicing 1, 5, 7, and 3. If you are watching this on my regular Guitar Tips channel, this will be the end of this tip. You can keep exploring on your own, trying different types of scales, different types of voicings, playing in different keys. There's a lot you could do on your own just from the stuff that we've already done so far in this tip. So do keep exploring that. If you want to explore this topic further, as I'm going to do in the full-length version of this guitar tip, then check out Guitar Tips Pro. There's a link down below underneath this video in a little description box. And that's where the tips really blossom. There's a lot more information there. There's PDFs of all of the music that I'm playing. There's much more in-depth study of the topic. Not just this week, but each and every week I'm doing 2 versions of the tips. The tip of the tip, and then the whole iceberg, as it were. So if you want to go all the way and really master chord scales, really get a deeper understanding, Guitar Tips Pro is the place to do that, and it's just a click away, so check it out. Now, for those of you who are subscribers on my Patreon channel, I'm going to keep going. You might want to stretch your legs, stretch your fingers a little bit, pour yourself some coffee. There's a whole bunch more stuff to come. So are you ready to keep going? Then let's do it. Okay. There's other types of scales besides the 3 that we just did. There's the harmonic major scale. That's a major scale with a flat 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 7, and then the tonic again. So if we harmonize that, we get some interesting stuff. We get this. So that's the sound of the harmonic major scale. You might take those chords and make some kind of progression out of it. Write a new tune or write a section of a tune using those chords. I also wanted to mention, I mentioned earlier Jimmy Weibel, who was the guy that got me thinking about making chords without bars. He, as far as I know, kind of invented this scale. He didn't name it as far as I know, but it's a 7-note version of the 8-note diminished scale. So instead of this, it's just this. So it's 1, 2, flat 3, sharp 4, sharp 5, 6, 7, and back to the tonic. And being a 7-note scale, it lets us harmonize it in a similar way to what we can do with other 7-note scales, like major scales and harmonic minor and all that. So the first chord is, wow, it's a doozy. It's C minor major 7 sharp 5. Again, this is the 1, 5, 7, 3 voicing, but it's got a sharp 5, a major 7, and a minor 3rd. Pretty wild sound. And then the 2 chord, just straight up D7. I'm sure you know this chord. And then E flat major 7, sharp 5, sus 4. It's really weird. It barely sounds like an E flat chord. But there it is. And again, it's just because we're going up and finding. If we start here. Everything just goes up. That's where we wind up. So, and then F sharp diminished 7th, G sharp minor 7 flat 5, A diminished major 7. So it's an A diminished with a major 7, G sharp, and then B flat minor 7. Almost sounds, it's so normal it sounds strange now, and then this chord where we started. So I'm going to play the whole thing one more time. I am using a little double stop here. I don't know if Jimmy Weibel would approve, but that's how my fingers work, so I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to just break here for a second and say I studied with Jimmy Weibel, and then I also studied with Ted Green. And their way of thinking of harmony was so different, both super beautiful, but also not just their way of thinking about harmony, but their way of fingering things. Ted's thing was like, if you can hear it in your mind and it's on the guitar, just do whatever it takes. If you have to bring your thumb around or do some kind of tricky fingering, why not? And Jimmy was a little bit more of a purist. He approached the guitar more from a classical guitar point of view, at least as far as the technique of it. So anyway, maybe Jimmy would say use 2 fingers here, and then 2 fingers for D7. Ted would for sure make a bar, because why wouldn't you if you could? So do what works for your hands. The main thing here is the sound. Things should really sound as clear and as beautiful as you can make them sound. And you get that by not applying too much pressure, not applying too little pressure, not letting your fingers collapse, but making some real space so everything can ring. That's what we're going for. But speaking of Ted, I wanted to show you a concept it's not with 4-part harmony, but with 3-part harmony, something that he developed called chord hearts, and it had to do with harmonizing pentatonic scales. So instead of harmonizing these 7-note scales, he was harmonizing 5-note scales. So if you take a C triad like this, so first inversion C triad, instead of going up the scale like a major scale, we're just going to go up through the pentatonic scale. So each note only gets to play notes from the pentatonic scale on each string. So you get this. It's pretty cool. It's very different from the stuff that we've been looking at so far. But if you're harmonizing scales, that's what chord scales are. They're harmonized scales. Why not harmonize a pentatonic scale? Not all scales have 7 notes in them. So that's a pretty cool thing to work on. It's a little different. It doesn't get you into the kind of voicings that you'd play on a song from the 30s or 40s necessarily. It's a little bit more modern sound, but really beautiful. So now I want to talk a little bit about other types of voicings, because obviously that's not the only type of voicing that you can do on the guitar. So let's take another kind of voicing. This is a nice sound. It's got the 5 on the bottom. It's got the root on the 2nd string. So the major scale version would be like this. Or really neat sound. That's 5, 3, 7, 1, or in intervals, that's a 6th, a 5th, and a 2nd. 6th, 5th, 2nd. Interesting. All right, so that's the major scale. Now let's do the melodic minor scale. So we get C minor major 7, D minor 7, E flat major 7 sharp 5. It's a pretty cool sound. F7, G7, A minor 7 flat 5, B minor 7 flat 5, and then back to C minor major 7. Here I'm making a little double stop, or mini bar really back here. Same here. Here, there's no double stops or mini bars. Here, same. This is a mini bar here, and would be up here if you played it up high, and then back here. Again, chord qualities are minor major 7, minor 7, major 7 sharp 5, dominant 7, minor 7 flat 5, minor 7 flat 5, and minor major 7. Harmonic minor starts out the same as melodic minor, but gets different quickly because we've got the A flat, so the 2 chord is D minor 7 flat 5, and then E flat major 7 sharp 5, same as what we had a moment ago, and then F minor major 7. Oh, no, that's not right. That's just F minor 7. Right, so. Then G7, A flat major 7, B diminished 7, and C minor major 7. Yeah, one more time. C minor major 7, D minor 7 flat 5, E flat major 7 sharp 5, F minor 7, G7, A flat major 7, B diminished 7, and C minor major 7. Yeah, interesting colors. Okay. All right, just a few more chords here. The harmonic major scale. So C major, and again that's C, D, E, F, G, A flat, B, C. So C major 7, D minor 7 flat 5, E minor 7, F minor major 7, G 7, A flat major 7 sharp 5, B diminished 7th, and C. Sounds like it's an A flat chord, but it is. It's A flat, major 7, sharp 5, B diminished 7th, and C major 7, yeah. And then we have the Jimmy Weibel scale, so that's going to be C minor, major 7, sharp 5. Woo. D7, and then E flat, major 7, sharp 5, sus 4. Wow, so you can think of that. Here's E flat, major 7, sharp 5, sus 4. And then F sharp diminished 7th, G sharp, minor 7 flat 5, A diminished major 7, that's A, C, E flat, and G sharp. And then, B minor 7 and C minor major 7 sharp 5. Wow, one more time. Okay, and we will end with the pretty sound of Ted Green's Chord Hearts. Again, this is from C major pentatonic. Earlier we started with this C first inversion triad. Now I'm going to start, you could call it C6, so it's just one note difference. It's got the G instead of the A, but that's going to give us some different sounds and different shapes. So we would get this. Okay, there's a lot of stuff, and we only did two types of voicings really, 1-5-7-3 and 5-3-7-1. We explored a bunch of different scales, but we didn't get into different keys. We didn't really get into different, well, gosh, it's pretty infinite. You could spend a lot of time on this material. And as I said earlier, really there's kind of two things that you want to be working on. One is really hearing the sound of a scale as it's expressed in harmony and starting to recognize these things so that when you listen to jazz recordings or any kind of harmonically sophisticated recordings, you start to get a sense of what the atmosphere is. Is this a melodic minor atmosphere, or a harmonic minor atmosphere, or a harmonic major atmosphere, etc. And you also are working on just making things sound good, which just comes out of what you do with these two hands. Good clean technique over here, good clean technique over here. Put them together and you can really make the guitar sound beautiful, whatever your guitar may be. Okay. So thank you for supporting here on Patreon, and let me know what you're thinking about. What questions do you have about the guitar. What's puzzling you? What's frustrating you? What's intriguing you? I want to hear about it. Maybe we can typify it and share what we find with other folks here in the community. For Guitar Tips and Guitar Tips Pro, I'm Adam Levy. Stay tuned and take good care.